I'm Owen Bigland. This is the Inside Edge video blog. Okay, let's do a quick recap, talk about the downtown Vancouver condo market. We could include Mount Pleasant, Kitsilano, the surrounding areas in this conversation as well, but we're going to talk stratified condos and townhouses right now. Market, as we're into late spring here, is pretty strong. The prices continue to edge up month over month here. Inventory continues to be very low, although in the last 4 or 5 weeks, the inventory has slowly started to creep up. But the bottom line is we're still in a very strong seller's market. A seller's market, meaning that the sales to listings ratio is anything over 20. And we're probably hovering in the mid 30s right now. But you can't break it down as a one size fits all. It's really all over the road. I mean, good quality 1-bedroom units priced under $700. If it's a good quality strata, good location, and the unit is presented right and priced right, you're probably going to get bidding wars on that. You're not going to get the type of bidding wars we had in 2017 where you might get 10 or 15 offers on it, but you could easily get 3 or 4, maybe 5 offers. Again, if it's a good quality strata, presented properly, which I'm going to get to in a minute, it's not tenanted, it shows well, you're going to get some good action on it. As you move up the food chain though, once you get into 2 beds priced over 1.3 or 1.4, the market starts to balance out a little bit more. It's still favoring the seller, but it's probably more at about a 23 to 25 sales to listings ratio. So much lower than what the good quality 1 beds priced under 700. And then, I talked about it before, you get into good quality older stratas, older condos that need a full reno. Those are a little tougher sell and can be a good buy, but you've got a limited buyer pool there. I continue to see some good value in some of these older stratas, but it's got to be a good strata. Some of them are dogs, not worth buying at any price. But if it's a good strata and it's just the unit itself that needs a reno, those can be picked up at a pretty good value, in my opinion. But a couple of things I want to talk about in the news here. Of course, the people are screaming from the rooftops here that the market's too hot and the government needs to step in to cool it. Well, I think a lot of people get confused here with the detached market, because the detached market is the one that's had the real huge price gains since late last spring. And it continues that way. I've had a number of detached homes I've just sold, all in multiple offers, way over asking. Coming up in the next couple of months, I've got about 4 or 5 detached homes I'm getting ready to list. East Vancouver, Richmond, Tawasin, and I'm doing holdbacks on all of them, and I'm expecting multiple offers and pushing those up into new record selling prices for sure. The condo market, though, really has only kind of picked up steam here since the beginning of this year. And maybe a lot of people don't realize that we are probably, in a lot of cases, still not to where we were back in 2017. As a matter of fact, I've had a couple of sales here recently where my seller, I didn't sell the unit to them because, hey, it's only been 4 years since they bought it, but sometimes people need to sell for various reasons, that we have not been able to get the price, the selling price, to where they paid for it. And once you back out commissions and everything else. And now when you consider that, interest rates are probably a good 1.5% less than what they were 4 or 5 years ago. In some ways, condo affordability is better now than it was in 2017. A few other things I want to go through on the news here. Of course, I always see the stuff on leverage, people buying homes and, taking on too much debt and it's bad and be careful. And, buying a home is like one guy equated it to buying a home is like buying stocks using leverage, shorting stocks or borrowing money via a leverage account to buy equities. And sorry, it's not. It's nothing like that. You're not going to get a margin call when you buy your principal residence. In other words, the bank's not going to come to you as long as you're making your mortgage payments and say, hey, you know what, interest rates are going up here quite a bit, or hey, maybe you're not earning as much money this year as you did when you qualified for your mortgage. We're going to force you to sell your house. That isn't what happens with buying your principal residence and taking out a mortgage. But I continue to see this stuff in blogs and on the media and in the news. They're so biased to the negative side of real estate and everything's overpriced and everything's in a bubble. I mean, their biases show through when they come up with these type of comments. And if you see these type of things, you should realize it, pick it up pretty quick, that the reporter here or whoever's telling this story is not giving you the straight goods on this. They have a bias toward, they're probably out of the market and trying and bitter and angry that they've been priced out. So they come up with these articles. You know, another one that I continue to see right now, and you always see this, I've been seeing this for 30 years in Vancouver real estate. They'll write a story and they'll talk about buyers, consumers, homeowners that think that real estate prices only go up, right? Buy the house now, get into a bidding war because real estate only goes up. Listen, I'm sure there are some putzes out there that do think that real estate, you buy it and it never goes down and it'll only go up in a straight line. But come on, if somebody tells you that most people think real estate only goes up. You see this in the stock market too, that you can throw a dart at anything on the NASDAQ or tech or Bitcoin or whatever, and it only goes up. Put all your chips in, you'll never lose a dime, it'll only make money. Listen, if you see someone telling you that, boy, you know, they're really insulting a lot of people with that. Are there people out there that think that? Probably. There are, for sure. But, you know, I did that blog about 6 weeks ago on what I called irrational exuberance. And I talked about that guy in Toronto who had a video blog pumping up buying pre-sale condos in downtown Toronto. And his essentially was, yeah, buy a pre-sale condo. As a matter of fact, buy 2 or 3 because they only go up. And by the time you get your keys on it, you've already made $150,000. That guy did not know what he was talking about. But these people need to stop this. For the most part, most people understand how real estate works and how the stock market works, in my experience. I don't know anybody that I talk to ever that come across that think you're going to buy a home today for a condo for $720,000 and it will never go down. Next year it's going to be worth $750,000, the year after that 8, 5 years from now $1 million. That's not how real estate works, and I think most people know that's not how it works. But you see, the media loves to take this bitter, envious view towards things, that the consumers are dumb, anyone that's getting into a bidding war and buying a home is stupid, they're taking on too much debt because real estate only goes up, right? Until it doesn't. You know, talk about insulting to most people. There are people out there that probably do think that. If that's you, then you're wrong. Real estate always goes up until it doesn't, and then it goes down. As I've been pounding home for 10 years and talking about on my blog here and in my book, real estate goes up and real estate goes down. In Vancouver real estate, generally we get, and the markets tend to take these jolts, especially the detached market, which has been doing here the last year. Takes a big jolt, goes up 10, 15, 20%, and then treads water for a year or two, then maybe goes down 10%, and then takes another 10% leg up. You know, corrections of what I call run-of-the-mill Vancouver corrections of between 5 and 15% should be expected every 3 to 5 years. Something more severe, maybe a 20 or 25% correction every decade. Could go a lot longer than that, could come a lot sooner than that. If you don't believe me, best thing to do is go to the Greater Vancouver Real Estate Board. You can pull off a 50-year graph of Vancouver real estate based on strata, townhome, detached homes. And you will see, I mean, when you step back from it, it looks like Mount Kilimanjaro. But if you look a little closer and take it year by year, you're going to see sharp rises up, you're going to see sharp down, you're going to see a plateau leveling off, up, down, up, down. But the overall trend line will be up. That's how real estate works. You could superimpose that over the S&P 500 over the last 50 years, and it's going to be very similar. The trend is always up, and over the long term, yes, real estate will go up. If you buy a home today and keep it for 20 or 25 or 30 years, you're going to do incredible. That's all you need to know. In the short term, though, 1, 2, 3, 4 years, anything can happen. But these media that love to tell you that they think everyone thinks that real estate only goes up, these guys are morons. Don't buy into it. Final thing I'll put out here as well. Well, the other thing I'll just say on that too, one last thing on this, you know, I've read another article about renters saying that, you know, homeowners, principal residence buyers, get a lot of tax breaks. So they do. They get the principal residence exemption, which is great. Plus, they're taking advantage of the leverage and the 1.5%, 1.6% interest rates. And some renter advocate groups are calling, we need tax breaks too for renters. Well, what I would say to you is I don't understand the whole renter thing and looking for tax breaks, because I penned this guy's book many years ago, The Wealthy Renter. And I talked about it many times in passing on my blog here. I don't understand, which way is it? Because that group of people tells me that renting is the way to go, that renting is far superior than owning. But then you complain that you don't get any tax breaks when you're a renter. I got news for you. If you want to get tax breaks or you're not happy with being a renter, then what you should do is you should buckle down, save the down payment, and buy and get out of that renter treadmill. Because, it's terrible being a long-term renter. You're going to get crushed financially over 20 or 30 years renting in a city like Vancouver. Just do the math on it. The final thing I'll say is, the market stays pretty strong here. I'm representing the buyer on, 2-3 deals every single month, and then I have a lot of listings as well every month. But, presentation is everything, and it never ceases to amaze me, sellers not doing everything they can to maximize their selling price. The only thing I can think of is they don't care. They're not interested in an extra $10,000 or $20,000. I don't know. It must be nice if you're going to sell a investment unit or even your principal residence and you're going to leave $30K on the table and don't care. That's the only thing I can think of, because I continue to write deals and buying condos representing buyers that I'm getting good value on for my buyers. We're not stealing them. There's no such thing in Vancouver. But I'm getting, based on the current market conditions, getting good value for these units. I'm getting them at a good price. And the reason is a number of things. A, they're usually tenant occupied, so they show terrible. I've done so many blogs on tenanted properties. They're dirty, they're messy, they smell bad, they're filthy, most of them. Not all, but most are. Restricted showing times, the tenant doesn't want to leave. During COVID, of course, I don't blame them. They don't really want a lot of showings. So that leaves a tremendous amount of money on the table. If it's an investor client, we've got to assume your tenant, which we really don't want to do. If we do, I'm not going to be offering you full price, full market value for it. I want a deal on it if I've got to assume your tenant. Or if it's a principal residence buyer, sometimes we can get them out if it's on month to month, but we've got to wait 3 months. The other thing is that they're just not presented very well. And, how they're furnished, cleanliness, showing availabilities and that kind of thing. These are just very small little things. When someone hires me as their realtor, we're not just going to go list it. It takes me generally 2 to 3 weeks to do the proper planning before I list a home. Maybe a little less, sometimes a little bit more. But I'm going to walk through the home and I'm going to give you some suggestions, and they don't have to cost you anything, on ways to improve the marketability. And that's usually going to be things like getting rid of some furniture, decluttering, doing a thorough cleaning, doing some minor repairs. I was in a unit the other day, and I had this many times before, where I open the closet door and the whole handle falls off. Or it's just filled, you can't turn a faucet on, or the taps are leaking. It's crazy. These things you should address. These are very minor little things that you can spend. Sometimes it might only be a few $100s. A lot of the times it's just a little bit of time and preparation to prepare the home. And we're talking $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 difference in the selling price by just spending a few weeks and getting it market ready. Now, a lot of homes I show beautifully. And the realtor's done their job, his or her job there, and they're getting top dollar for those. But it's amazing how many, that don't, and you should. That's why I always tell people you should hire 2 to 3 realtors for the job. If you're going to sell a downtown condo, you should be hiring a downtown expert, someone with a proven marketing strategy, and someone that's going to come out and consult you on ways to improve the marketability. If they're not, then they're not doing their job. I kind of think a lot of these sellers just aren't aware of some of the things they can do, because I think if they would, I don't know, is 10 hours of preparation and maybe $200 or $300 in paint touch-ups and fixing a few things, is that worth $10,000 to you? It would be to me. So presentation is everything in this market. Especially, I see some really good units. I know the stratas, they're good location, great location within the building, quiet, good layouts. They've got everything working for them, but then you get into the unit and it's a disaster inside. They're still going to sell this home, and they're still going to sell it quick in this market because it's a good strata, good unit. Realtors like myself are going to see through this. But you're still leaving money on the table. If you just did a bit of upgrades, had it looking showroom condition, beautifully furnished, clean, bright, airy, smelling good, that's going to get you another couple more offers, maybe more on offer night, which is going to get you a much better selling price. And that's what you're paying your realtor for. The final thing I'll say is pricing your home too. The condo market now in Vancouver is strong, but you're not going to get, it's not like 2017, you're not going to price it out in the weeds somewhere. You got to be careful. It's presentation and pricing are the two most important things in this spring and summer market as we're going into. You got to have it showing right, and you have to have it priced right. Sometimes I will price a home, especially when the market is trending up, which it is right now, inventory is low, then we can be one step ahead of the market and price it a little bit higher. However, I always tell my seller that after 2 weeks, 3 weeks, if we don't have any serious interest, the market's telling us something and we should reduce it. Stay on top of it. But we're not in a market where you're going to price it way out in left field compared to the comps. You're just going to hear crickets on that. So pricing and presentation, and that's what you're paying your realtor for. That's what's going to get you the maximum selling price, and that's why you want to hire an experienced realtor who's going to consult you on those things. Price it right, and the big thing is have it presented right. And the presentation, the final step with that is photos, possibly virtual staging, floor plans, video tours, everything to expose the property to its full potential. And again, we're talking 10, 15K in your final selling price by just doing it right. I'm Owen Bigland. As always, I'll see you next week.